Hi, it is Shilpa here, and wish you a very happy new year. It's a big week for me in this homeopathic journey today because this is my 22nd year of homeopathy, and I always take a moment to celebrate every year. So, the thing that's really on my mind right now is we are just a few days out from my big program. So, every year I open my Argentum mentoring program, but before that, I conduct a free Success in Practice Argentum training workshop. And over the last 8 to 10 years, over 10,000 practitioners and students have gone through this free training program, which is pretty crazy. And then it leads up to me opening my Argentum mentoring program. So we open for enrollments once a year, and it's a huge thing in my academy, and we are all focused on that. But if I look back over these last 22 years, and even this mentoring program, one huge constant theme that has driven my homeopathic journey has been innovation and change. And you see, I'm not like one of those girls who, just goes on looking for the new thing all the time. I actually like my routines and I go into my comfort zone very often. But if I look back at all the innovations in approaches, in strategies, in the projects I've undertaken within my homeopathic business and practice, it's been pretty constant and crazy. So I started off consulting at free clinics when I just started. They were run by charitable organization or by local public schools in Mumbai, India, and then I built my private pediatric practice as a homeopathic GP. And that was way back in 1997-98. And it grew to be one of the most successful pediatric clinics in my suburb. And I was pretty proud of that. And then I always used, at that point, I was using only classical Kenton or Bonninghausen or Sankeren's homeopathy, period. Right? And then a couple of years later, I moved to a small town after marriage and started at a rural charity clinic where local farmers came in with really serious acute conditions and infections. And that was, a shock because after a lot of struggle and miserable failures, I managed to find my feet, and eventually over the next 2 years, I helped over 2,000 farmers avoid expensive conventional medicines and even surgery. So wait for this, using an unclassical, unconventional Bonninghausen approach that I never learned in my homeopathy school, period. So, and in order to prescribe those medicines, I had to build the HomeoQuest software with my husband Atul. So it was the only software in the world that helped me repertorize directly from the Materia Medica and tap into the clinically cured cases of these old acute masters so that I could, help these farmers in those infections. So that was like for me a huge innovation because it just seemed like a natural next step and it kept me getting forward. And then a few years later, I moved to Sydney where homeopathy was practically non-existent, at least for me, somebody from India. So I started teaching complementary and alternative medicine students and practitioners on how to use acute homeopathy for their clients. And I was not teaching theory because I was doing it from live cases and consultations I took at an acute clinic at the college. So I was not teaching one specific, so-called Hahnemannian homeopathy approach, but I just kept innovating my teaching and mentoring so that they could learn how to use a range of homeopathic approaches strategically to suit their patient's need within an acute, and how they could then build their practice. And that was sort of a huge, turning point for me in my journey. And then in 2013, I took my training and mentoring online to build my online academy for professional camp practitioners who wanted to use homeopathy to boost their practices. So my online video academy was like another huge innovation for me. I sort of, dragged into it. I decided to invite world-class trainers around the world who were specialized in specific approaches to train my students and practitioner members in the next few years. So I could see that I had to innovate to grow the impact of homeopathy and constantly reach practitioners in corners of the world so I could help them develop into the best practitioners they could be to help their patients. So indirectly, I was helping their patients, tens of thousands of practitioners and hundreds of thousands of their patients collectively, which I could have never dreamed of helping in one lifetime. And it has been a crazy journey so far, and I'm about to jump off a diving board into a huge new innovation coming up in the next Argentum, free workshop. But I could not have foreseen all of this. And this is the thing I wanted to stress to you today, and this could be one of my lessons in the 22nd year, because a lot of students and a lot of new practitioners who are embarking on their practice, they want to have that big, huge plan, that grand plan where they want to know exactly where they're going every step of the way. And you never will. And, it's just not possible. You just can't, because even 10 years ago, there is no way I could have imagined being on video or running an online school. It was just not in the cards. So that's the way. Basically, when I started, all I knew was I wanted to create an impact with homeopathy in some huge way, right? That was like a basic vision. But there were hundreds of ways to the top of the mountain, and there is no set path. So you start with a basic plan. From that, you are at the bottom of the mountain. So you plan based on what you see from the bottom, but you're not going to know it. It will eventually, whether that path will eventually reach the end goal. It's been that way for me in my practice and business, and it will be for you as well. So you just have to focus on what's the next step and take action and innovate as you go to ensure that you keep moving towards the end goal. I mean, it's great to have a big vision, a strategic vision, to have this idea of where you're going and where you want to go. But you have to understand that no matter how much you plan, that plan is going to change. So I think it was Eisenhower who said that planning is essential, but plan is useless. So because as soon as you get out into the world and you start to implement, your plan is going to change, and that is how you grow and that is how you evolve. So after 22 years, I couldn't possibly recognize myself. If myself 22 years saw myself now, I'm unrecognizable. So just understand you need to continue to take that next step and you need to move into action. And wish me luck with my Argentum free training workshop this year. It's going to be a big innovation I've got for you. So this year's workshop is something you've never seen me present in this way in this academy before. But I promise it's going to be super cool. And I will provide you the details as we move along in the coming days about what we are going to be doing, and it's going to be really amazing. I believe it's going to deliver more value than what we've ever delivered during, the past 10 years. So, or any other free training course in my academy. So scroll down and leave me a comment and let's get started.